Hey, thanks for tuning in, Hawaii Real listeners. Today I have Paul Staples with me today. He's a real estate guy, but he's also got this new product that's going to replace drywall in the future. It's called SIPS. He's going to talk to us about that. And he's also going to talk to us about the humanitarian work that his business does. Whenever they build a house, they build another house in a third world country or less fortunate country. And finally, I'll end off with talking about high-end luxury homes here in Hawaii and how they get sold and how that whole process works and how the new process is going to come into play. It's pretty cool stuff, and it's good to listen to. Thanks for tuning in.
We took about 15 Boy Scouts from Utah to the Philippines, and we built these two homes for people that had lost their homes. And the Boy Scouts pretty much did a lot of the work, and we did it within less than 2 days. So as I thought about that, I came back to Hawaii, and I happened to get a listing. I'm a real estate broker by trade. I happened to get a listing that was made out of SIPS, and I got more interested in it because the owner explained a little bit more to me about the qualities of SIPS.
Okay, welcome back to Hawaii Real, everybody. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to this channel on YouTube. You can also find the episodes on the website, hawaiirealpodcast.com. And the episodes are also aired in audio versions on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And you can also hear the short versions of the podcast that I post called Hawaii Real Shorts. That's on YouTube, and I also post those directly to the website. Again, that's hawaiirealpodcast.com. Today I have with me kind of a cool guy, Paul Staples. He runs Paul Staples Realty.
Should I be looking at
You can look at the camera, you can look at me, you can look up at the sky. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Paul drove all the way out here from Laie. So you've got like a great business going, and you have this new building technique or building product that you're bringing in from the Philippines you were telling me about. And that's kind of a new thing that you're trying to bring into Hawaii. That's kind of cool. I saw the video on it, and you're going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
And yeah, whatever else you want to talk about. You got a lot of stories over there from that side. It's pretty cool. Good to know you. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
Appreciate you actually inviting me. This great setup you got.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
I'm envious a little bit. I like it.
You're saying you want to start your own kind of talk show?
Yeah, we've been talking about it in our office for about 2 months now.
Just do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting impression from you. Just do it. Go out there and do it. The equipment doesn't look too expensive.
No, it's not too bad, and you just kind of collect it over time.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I think the main thing is just taking the step. Just doing it. So we were talking for like half an hour already off camera before we even started. Pre-show warm up. Like, hey, this guy can talk. He can go. It's gonna be a good episode.
Yeah.
All right. So to dive into it, I saw the video on YouTube about your new product.
Okay.
What's it called?
It's called SIPS.
SIPS,
which stands for Structural Insulated Panels.
And it looks like really thick drywall, but it's not.
It's not drywall. It has EPS in the middle, which is foam, basically really tight foam. And we use 2 magnesium oxide boards for the skin. Now SIPS can be different. We actually created one of our own products. We call it the third generation of SIPS. The first generations that I'm aware of was back in the 30s. It was OSB, which is that strangulated board, that os-oriented strangulated board, which is the wood flakes that's been glued together.
Oh yeah.
So they were using that at first because that's what they came up with. And then we actually visited a manufacturing in Alabama, and they were using something called fiber cement board, which we liked a lot better than the OSB because it was fiber cement board, and it was heavy duty. But then we discovered magnesium oxide, which is pretty much fireproof. And so we started, tinkering with that, and we built 2 homes in the Philippines right after Hurricane Yolanda hit. We gathered some Boy Scouts from Utah, and we did I guess I would call it a ego project on steroids.
Yeah, that's a super project.
Where we took about 15 Boy Scouts from Utah to the Philippines, and we built these 2 homes for people that had lost their homes. And the Boy Scouts pretty much did a lot of the work, and we did it within less than 2 days.
Wow.
So as I thought about that, I came back to Hawaii, and I happened to get a listing. I'm a real estate broker by trade. I happened to get a listing that was made out of SIPS, and I got more interested in it because the owner explained a little bit more to me about the qualities of SIPS. For example, one thing that really intrigued me about this material is that most buildings that we house in will collapse at 6 or 7 on the Richter scale. The
Earthquakes hit.
Yeah, earthquakes. Yeah. We have tested our own SIPs, and we've gone through the paperwork. I mean the other testings of other people, and there's records of SIPs holding up to intensity of 11, 21, and most things would fall apart on the earth at 9, intensity 9.
Mm-hmm.
But SIPs all the way up to 11, 21.
So it's just like not falling down.
It's not falling down,
right?
Exactly. And I'm not an engineer. We have 3 engineers in our newly formed company called Archipelago 7000. We have 3 engineers. They know more about the reason why it doesn't fall down than I do. I'm just from a layman's perspective. I think the foam absorbs the energy from earthquakes, and because of the skins are on the outside, they really don't crack because magnesium oxide is a very strong product as well.
What else do they use magnesium oxide in, like in any other industry that people can kind of relate to? What this material is?
It's a mineral, to my understanding, and it's found in Asia. There's tons of it in Asia. They actually use it to make flares with.
Right, because that's kind of when you think of magnesium, you think of something that burns.
Right. But the way it's done, the way we do it, is that it is non-combustible. And I sent you a video. And where I take my torch.
Yeah, you have a blowtorch, and you're blowtorching this wall.
Yeah. And nothing happens.
Right.
Kind of interesting. My good friend Abe Lee, he was a big real estate instructor here. He came over with a bunch of people, and he loves for me to do the torch test. And then I do the hammer test too. I said, this stuff is strong. I mean, come look at my house. I invite people to come to my house in Laie to take the hammer to it, take the torch to it. I don't care, because I want this to really be something that Hawaii can look at as something that they can either build their homes with or rebuild, because if you rebuild with it after a typhoon has come, it's very, very simple. Right now I'm doing a owner builder myself, and I am not a home builder, but I wanted to walk the talk. I wanted to, before I can really tell people about this stuff, I wanted to do my own project. And it's my first and probably last time I'm going to build my own home. But I can talk about it now. I can deal with contractors, plumbers, electricians, building inspectors. It has really taught me. And that is something that I can share with people, my growth from building my own home. Mm-hmm. But we want to use this product in Hawaii because termites don't like it. It's pretty much fireproof, earthquake resistant, windproof, up to 200 miles an hour. Most Hurricane Yolanda in the Philippines was 195, which was a category, I think 5 or Cat 5, whatever they call that. And our panels are rated at 200 miles an hour. So it'd be really, I don't want to sound like the guy who, said the Titanic would never sink. I don't want to, say that, but it's pretty tough. The material that we use.
How does it stand up to like water damage and rains and stuff like that?
It's waterproof. It's pretty much waterproof. And I don't advertise this a lot, but I even had a bullet test done on it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I have the documentation. I sent it to a testing lab, and we sent 2 panels there, and they actually tested it with an AK-47, which is a little bit bigger round than a M16 round. So 50 feet away, I have the documents. They shot it after putting this what they call ballistic stucco on it. So they covered the panel with ballistic stucco. So the bullet AK-47 bullet went through the panel, went through the first skin, and went through the foam, but it stopped on the inside of the other skin, the magnesium oxide board.
So it's not piercing the entire thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's. We don't really advertise that, but we can get the stucco to make our panels pretty much bullet resistant. I don't want to say bulletproof because.
Well, I mean, but there is usage for that too, right? To have a building or parts of a building, banks, police stations, that kind of thing, where you maybe want to have some bullet resistant capability in the building structure itself in certain areas. Not the entire building. Right.
But our main focus, was in for the poor people in the Philippines. They seem to be affected the most when you have these typhoons, and you can see news, reels of people just barely heads above the water, and no one really is able to help them effectively. So this is what kind of got us started with our nonprofit, which is called I Help, which stands for, it's spelled IHHELPP. And and it stands for Improving Health, Housing, Education, Livelihood of the Poor in the Philippines. So we started this organization, and our focus was always the poor in the Philippines.
Yeah, no, I lived in Manila for 3 years growing up. Yeah, my dad was out there at the embassy.
Oh, you speak Tagalog?
No, he did.
He did.
But no, you can really see from living there, like poor people.
Yes.
Like we have homeless here.
Yes.
But they're not to that extent poor.
No comparison.
There's no comparison. You just can't. And like you said, when the typhoon comes, you have all these people in these shanty towns, these, living in pretty much cardboard type housing, and that totally gets blown away, and it totally gets rained out. Yeah. And it's not just building that back up. It's like what you guys are doing, you're building something that's stronger than what they had before, so that it doesn't happen again, so that house doesn't blow away again.
Yes. And it's kind of interesting what happened. Because we were focusing on the poor and helping people, the first 2 homes we built, remember we did it in less than 2 days using these SIP panels, which are panelized panels. They come in the size of a piece of drywall, a 4x8 size.
So they're kind of comfortable sizing for
constructor people. Yeah. So so when we put the homes up in 2 days, we got a lot of interest. We started to, as our company, as I Help started to get more recognition, we started to get a commercial interest. Okay, people, they're thinking, well, if this is pretty tough stuff, why don't I build my home out of it?
Sure.
So our attorney at the time recommended that we start a for-profit organization to avoid the commingling of our nonprofit, which is a 501c3 organization recognized by the government. So we get a few donations from Microsoft. For 2 years now, Microsoft has donated to our organization. In fact, they invited us to come speak to them about 2 years ago in April. So I flew out there and did a presentation for the employees of Microsoft.
Very cool.
Microsoft has a campaign where Bill Gates donates. He matches whatever the employees matches. So when I spoke to the Filipino employees there, they all have their own organizations where they donate. I think Bill Gates encourages this. So I was with the Filipinos of Microsoft, basically. so I gave them the presentation, and then from there they decided to adopt iHelp for that year, and because they have to choose a different organization every year. So for 2 years now, we've been their top pick for the Filipinos at Microsoft.
Good.
So they donate. Every year they have a drive to raise money. They donate to us, and we take those funds and we go build homes or public restrooms in the Philippines.
I was just thinking about that. Wasn't Bill Gates trying to build like a new toilet, or didn't he put out a whole project for the world to come up with a better toilet for third world countries?
I've never looked into that, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'm really glad that people of influence and interest take some kind of initiative to be involved in humanitarian work. I've been involved in humanitarian work for several years now, and it does something to the person individually and to the organization. My agents are they're all involved in what we do. Laura Brady, who's a person I interviewed when I was working on my master's in real estate. She runs a company called Concierge Auction. So when I was writing my thesis paper in real estate, I interviewed Laura Brady, and we got to talking, and I learned more about what she does with her proceeds and commissions in her company. She built a home in South America. I said, hey, I do the same thing in the Philippines. Once we sell a home, we try to build a home. And she said, hey, we do the same thing. So we've been talking about doing more work on the humanitarian side. So I'm in communication with their company, and what we want to do is bring more of that idea of the rich helping the poor. So that's kind of what we're gearing up to do with my marketing now. If I sell a home,
yeah, just
I
pull
get excited. I get excited about this. So if I sell a home, I'm going to build one in the Philippines or another poor country, and I want to continue that concept and teach it to our realtors here on the island, because they can be involved too. The way we're designing our outreach programs is that we want other realtors to be involved too. Now, they don't have to physically be involved. They can just give us money if they want, but we're going to do something good with that money. We're going to go build a restroom. People don't, a restroom,
Oh, you need it. I mean, you're talking about sanitary. You're talking about
yes,
cutting back on diseases and
yes,
stuff like that.
There's this one school we visited about a year and a half ago in the Philippines. We donated like 17 toilets to them, 17. And I was surprised when I talked to one of the teachers. He said, I warned you, I get emotional about this sometimes. But he said, because of those toilets, when my students go, when they go out for break, recess, they come back now, because now they don't have to go home or to the neighbor's house and use the restroom. They can use it right on campus. And, the sincerity in his face was like, wow, I just thought we just was building toilets, but we're saving kids in their schools from diseases and stuff. So when he explained that to me, it just gave me, not just me, but when I say me, I mean my whole organization. iHelp, we have some great volunteers for iHelp. But anyway, so that really has been with me for years now, and I want to give other agents that opportunity to donate with their time and talents.
All right, so your SIPS product, how does it hang stuff as opposed to, or how does it deal with hanging products, pictures, curtains, flat screen TVs compared to like drywall? Because I know drywall, you can't necessarily hang a flat screen on drywall without like doing a whole lot or actually finding the stud.
Yeah, sure. Let me first say before I open my mouth too much, we have 3 engineers in our organization. One of them is a good friend of mine, Renee Doria. He is completing his master's in structural engineering. And he can answer pretty much any question. But from a layman's perspective, I'm building my own home right now with SIPS, and it's acting just like wood. You know, meaning I can put a nail in it, and you know, I need the hammer claw to pull the nail out. You know,
anywhere on the board,
anywhere, anywhere. So I'm not having any issue. I haven't hanged a large TV yet because my construction project is still the shell there. But I will definitely find out for you, and after speaking to my engineers and giving you the numbers, you know, how does it hold up to drywall, and they will give you an answer. Trust me.
Right on.
I was locked in the hotel room with 3 engineers once, and once they started talking about the numbers of SIPS, I had to take a break and just sit down in the bed there and just let them go at it, you know. But they got all the documentations and numbers, the calculations. One of the engineers actually was part of the Qatar airport. He built some of the major support for the airport there. He's one of our engineers. The other one is he's working on this master's in engineering. And the other engineer we have was a retired structural engineer who just reactivated his license because of our business. So we got 3 full engineers that can answer pretty much any question.
Cool. But if it acts like wood, that's good. If you're just saying that, because it's drywall sucks, man. It's just like stuff just eventually pulls out of drywall, man.
And you have to remember something too. When drywall gets wet, then you have your mold problem.
Yeah.
Okay. With SIPS, what we have found out in our SIPS is that it doesn't absorb water. There's a really very, very low absorption rate. And, you know, technically, you know, if you get flooded out, you know, water just has to drain out and you're back to normal. That would not happen with drywall, especially with the insulation behind the drywall too. Our insulation is EPS, which is foam for the layman. And you know, nothing happens with foam. It's what you use your surfboards for.
Right, I was going to say, it's like basically you're building a house out of surfboard material.
Exactly. So if a flood did take it out, it'll float. You have something to float on. If
there's a tsunami, your house is okay. It's just going to float away.
That's right. You know, which reminds me of something that kind of put the concept in my mind pretty vividly. I have an app that kind of gives me the disasters all over the world. It alerts me when there's an earthquake, a fire, tsunami, and all these things. So, you know, sometimes I go to the TV or YouTube and I look at, from a bird's eye view, I look at the disaster, you know, and it dawned on me one day, say, hey, you know, all this devastation, but what's left? And it's usually the foundation of that house is there. So I was thinking, you know, so if a bulldozer comes in and just clears off the foundation, they can have a new home in a matter of days using SIPS because it goes up just like a Lego. You know, we're designing ways to connect the SIPS even faster than you can do it now. And like I said, if Boy Scouts can do it, you know, we saw the Boy Scouts doing it. And I'm doing it myself right now under an owner builder in Hawaii. So I think anyone can put these houses up. But a SIP home can go up really fast. And so if you already got your foundation and that's not damaged, you can probably put a SIP home there. Now, one term I've grown to love and definition of our SIPS is the term of monolithic. Okay. What that means is that, you know, if you have your foundation already, the way we attach our SIP home, our SIP panels, they're 4x8 panels, the way we attach it to the foundation, it literally becomes one with the foundation. So thus the term monolithic. So that's why when you have your earthquakes, when you have your fires and this and that, your high winds, it's still there. it's still there. It doesn't. And there's pictures, I can find some for you, of areas that have been devastated and all the homes are destroyed, but those that made their home out of SIPS is still standing. Yeah, it's still standing. So it kind of hits all the categories. Yeah. So as a realtor, I'm working with a really good friend of mine now, Abe Lee. If you go on the internet, you've probably seen Abe Lee seminars. He's a huge developer. He doesn't think so. He's only done 150 projects.
Oh, that's all.
That's all. But I sent him a video, same video I sent you. He called me up and he said, "I want to come over and see in 2 days." Okay. Okay. So he came over and he was just blown away by SIPS. He said, I've been looking for products for 30 years. I've imported metal framing to Hawaii. I've done this, I've done that. And I've not seen anything like this yet. Can we partner up?
Wow.
So I said, yeah, okay. So we're just starting, Nate. He said, that's okay. That's okay.
He wants to get in early.
I want to get in there. I got a project on Malikahana right now. Yeah, I'm building 8 units. I want to use SIPS. And then he's been bringing other contractors over to my little tiny 619 square foot ADU SIP home in Laie. So he's been bringing people over. I mean, my driveway is, sometimes I have 5 cars in my driveway and there's no parking where I live at. So they all have to park in my driveway. So he's been bringing people over to look at this product. And we've been talking. So since then, that was about a month ago.
Yeah.
So since then, Abe and I have gotten together and we decided to teach real estate classes together now. So we're really hitting it off now.
Nice. As
friends and partners and stuff. He's been teaching. He's taught over, I would say, about 8,000 agents on the island. Wow. So his courses are very familiar. I went through it to get my broker's license. He teaches the pre-license. He's one of the few people on the island that sanctioned to teach the pre-licensing course for your real estate license and also the broker courses. And he also teaches a lot of the continuing education courses that realtors have to take. So he's a great choice for a partner. And he really wants to spread SIPS throughout the island. He wants to talk to other realtors, get them involved. And I'm kind of like, wow, is this really happening? We just started out helping poor people in the Philippines,
Yeah, you do good and good will return to you, man. That's cool. Can I divert a little bit and talk about real estate here in Hawaii?
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, like home prices still went up and sales still occurred. Like, how does that happen? And how does, I guess, a local family that is now not registered, but is now seen as kind of low income or medium to low income, how do they go about affording a property anymore?
Well, I've been selling real estate. I bought my first house when I was 19 years old. And I did it out of very naive. I didn't know a lot about real estate. But I had roommates. I had 2 roommates, and we were renting this house, and which was really close to my job at the time. And we got a notice from the owner saying, "Hey, you guys got to leave. I'm going to rent to a family now." And that just kind of devastated me. I just never, I was comfortable. I was having fun. So I decided to, instead of getting angry or whatever, I decided to, maybe I can buy a house now. 19 years old. So maybe we
won't say how long ago that was.
Well, I don't mind telling my age. I'm 60 years old now. But at the time, they didn't have computers really operational. They didn't have the internet. But I walked into this broker's office, and he said, "You want to buy a house? How old are you?" I'm 19. Okay. He didn't discourage me, which was cool. He didn't say no. He grabbed this big, thick book, which it was MLS book, multi-listing service book. So like I said, we didn't have it on computers then. So he started flipping through the pages there. And he said, "Hey, look at this. There's a guy who just wants someone to take over his payments. and all you need is $2,000. I go, let's go look at that house. So I only had 1,000 at the time, so let's go look at it. So we drove up there, and I said, hey, this is good neighborhood. He said, you want it? I go, yeah, I do. Interest rates were 18% back then. So the guy just wanted to get out of the property, and he couldn't sell it, so I pretty much took over the property. So I called my mom, who's always helped me out. I was raised by a single mom. She said, son, you want to buy a house? I said, yeah, I only have $1,000. They want $2,000. She said, I'll give you $1,000. So I said, oh, cool, Mom. Thank you so much. So I actually purchased that house. What I learned from that purchase was never to listen to people that tell you can't do stuff, and just have faith and work. Faith and work for me go together. So that's kind of what I did. I had a pretty good job, and I bought the house. And instead of just being bitter about the landlord kicking us out, hey, I got my own house now, and I got a tenant. It's helping me pay for my mortgage now. So my mortgage was $600. I think I rented the room out to my tenant for $300 or $200. I can't remember, but I was actually paying about the same as I was for rent, and now I'm the owner of the house. So,
but that kind of thing can't happen today, though, right?
No, but what I was going to say is there's always a way. Okay, I've sold. Staples Realty, we have right under 200 transactions right now, and we have helped so many people. Those that have money, those didn't have money. What you can do, one of the programs you can do is that there's a USDA government program that people don't know about this program, but my loan officer and we've helped so many people in our area because it qualifies for the USDA program, which is a rural program. It's what the government used to use way back, a long time ago to populate areas, to get people, families to move in there. So they offer no money down, okay, in some of these programs, as long as you qualify, okay, no money down. And I didn't qualify to buy a house in Hawaii when I was raising my family. So I called my mom and dad. My dad said, son, you know what, I can help you. So he gave me a couple $1,000, and he allowed his name to go on the title so I can qualify, So he knew it wasn't his house. He was helping his son and his grandkids. So after about 5 years, I was making more money. And I said, Dad, do you still need to be on the title? He said, no. He said, you can take me off. So I called the escrow company, did what they call a quitclaim deed. He was off. And so parents can help their kids. Okay, so that's one way to get in title. And I've seen that several times here. We also, another way too, and hopefully the building department is not listening too well. Another thing too that helped us out, and we didn't do anything illegal in our situation, but my wife didn't work. One of the promises I made her when we got married is that she wouldn't have to work. So that means I had to work 3 jobs sometimes, but I wanted to keep my promise to her, so she didn't have to work. So what we did was we rented out our garage. We kind of fixed it up, and it already had a sink and a bathroom. So we just kind of made sure it was nice, people. And that took off a big chunk of our mortgage. So, so people can kind of be creative in looking at their homes and dividing it up. Another thing I just did recently is we have high vault ceilings. So I was looking at one of my rooms. I said, you know what? What if I make a loft? My wife said, what? A loft? Yeah, what if we put our bed in the loft in our master bedroom, and then we have all this space down there, so I think we gained 66 square feet, which is quite a bit of space in a room, So we went up. So we made a loft. So all I'm saying is a little creativity and a good real estate agent who has some experience can help you through some of these, the loan process, and knows the lending, lending, I don't want to call them tricks, but has information on lending. It's all about having good people in your corner too. My loan officer, he's one of the best. I've seen him cut his commissions to help my clients get into their home. a lot of them are just making it into their home. So like I said, we've over 200 transactions under our belt right now. So we've gained some experience, and working with Abe Lee now too is going to really add to that. So I think we can help pretty much anybody with information, enough information so they can be a little dangerous when they go out in the home.
Go out house hunting. Yeah, that's good.
And also we're just, Abe Lee and I are, we just got, we're getting permission. We're working through the process to actually teach real estate on campus in one of the local universities here. And so we're going through the process right now. In fact, this morning I got the email text from the person helping us drive the program through the college curriculum. So we feel pretty confident about it because we're going to be teaching things about foreclosure, high-end luxuries, which I want to talk a little bit about, working with governments. We've built homes in the Philippines so far. We built several restrooms. And Abe is, like I said, he's a developer, even though he won't call himself a serious developer, but 150 projects is pretty serious to me. So we have this information now that we can give people that want to get into real estate, or they want to buy their own home, or they want to, like you said, figure how to get a family to their first home. There's ways to do it. Trust me.
You mentioned talking about high-end luxury homes, and that's kind of a scary concept for me hearing about, but go ahead and share. Yeah,
we just closed a deal that was I think it's 3.8 million. It was a deal that it was a sort of a compound, but it really hit home to me. I just finished my thesis and my course. Speaking of that was a pretty tough course. I think there's like 3 of us now that have a master's in real estate on the island. Yeah, most people have an MBA or something like that, but not in real estate. So I think I'm one of the 3 that went through the rigorous program that was sanctioned by the National Association of Realtors, the NAR. They started this master's program to help our realtors be more educated and to kind of sit them apart from the being compared to used car salesmen.
Right. Okay.
So it was a great idea. It was a great concept. And, I saw the fail rate in the class. I got kind of scared, but I endured the program for 2 years. And when I wrote my thesis paper, I mentioned her before, Laura Brady, who started a different concept. It's called concierge auction. So I interviewed her for my thesis paper, and I got so interested in luxury auctions because a lot of times we stigmatize auctions with foreclosures and stuff like that. No, this is different. We're looking for unique properties all over the world, and I live in Hawaii, so I'm gonna focus on Hawaii, and what I learned from I even went through the training to be a luxury auction specialty in Hawaii. And so I have very little certificates, and I went through the training. So what we're looking for is unique properties that are really different, or even hard to sell. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they're tough to sell is because the buyer, the buyer pool is not that high for luxury properties. So with luxury auctions, what we do is that we find these unique properties on the island, basically, and we present it to my partners that I have that deal with luxury auctions all over the world. They're currently in 40 states and 20 countries or something like that. But we find these properties, and only 1 out of 20 is really selected. So, price points are, in Hawaii is starting at 2.5 million, all the way up, to infinity, basically. And we find these properties, and like I said, only 1 out of 20 is basically selected. So what we do is we actually do a heavy duty marketing campaign. And we take care of the marketing budget. Marketing budgets for some of these properties are starting from $50,000 to $150,000. to get that property sold. And like I said, there's no upfront fees for the seller. The way it works, the buyers that buy these properties, they're yacht owners and this and that, and they actually compete with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to compete, so we get these properties that and run them through the auction. What's so cool, and I'm not saying a lot of stuff, but I kind of give you a layman's version of it. What's so cool is there's no upfront fees for the seller. We pay for the marketing, and when I spoke to Laura, I found out that something is very effective. They have a database that they've been putting together for over 11 years now, okay, with 650,000 people. Now, these are millionaires and billionaires, okay? So they have not stopped buying properties even with the pandemic. In fact, it's been pretty steady. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is, when we had the lockdowns and March and stuff, these people get in their private jets and fly to some of these properties to take a look at it, and they buy that. I have a friend that owns about 15 Marriott hotels, and he has a private jet. So the pandemic didn't really stop him at all. I mean, he flies all over the place. I talk to him, at least once or twice a year. But so the luxury auction concept is sort of a new concept to Hawaii, especially on Oahu. And so I'm working feverishly to put together some marketing material, let people know, hey, you can sell that luxury home. You do not have to let it sit on the market for 5 years. With this new concept, luxury auctions, we will sell it normally within 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks, 60 days. It's gone, And so this gives people especially the sellers, it gives them more control over their life. They're not sitting there, leaving the house when a buyer comes over, because the majority of the buyers are already in our database, okay? And a lot of them are repeat clients, okay? They see these pictures that we take, and they see the drone shots that we do, and they don't have to be there. And a lot of these buyers that I'm speaking of, they buy real estate for investment purposes. Mm-hmm. It's just like where we, sitting right now. The owner probably has not been here for a while, and this is an investment for that person. So what they do is they let the value increase. Okay, where they're getting 0.5% in the bank, or 1% if they're lucky. With real estate, if area is showing 5, 10, 15% increase, a rich person will say, hey, I'm not putting my money in the bank. I'm going to put it in this real estate. Mm-hmm. I'm going to let it sit vacant for a while, or I'm going to let my management team take care of it. If I want a little income, then I'll rent it out. If I just want to let it accumulate in value, I'll do that. I can do whatever I want to do. I'm rich. That's how they think. So of course, with that, there's multiple personalities that you have to deal with when you work with the wealthy. I've gotten used to it. Actually, I've signed a few confidentiality agreements already. Some of my clients are, I can't say anything about, because when they buy property, they normally don't want people to know. I give you one deal I had. I was a straw man in the deal. In real estate, straw man mean that the whoever hired you does not want the other party to know that they hired you. They want you to be there for them. So I was given a certain amount to buy a beachfront property over the phone. It was like, I guess it's okay to say the amount. It was like $900,000. This was like 10, 15 years ago. So I go meet the owner. I find the owner of this property, me being a straw man. So he meets me at McDonald's, and I say, hey, look, I have an offer for you for this property. I'll offer you $900,000 for it. It's a beachfront property. And he looks at me. He said, you know what? No, I want $1 million. I go, wait, let me go outside, make a phone call, and I'll come back. So I go call my principal, And I said, hey, look, he's not going to go for 900,000. He wants $1 million. They said, do it. So I go back inside. McDonald's. I don't think I was eating something. So I said, okay, Mr. So-and-so, we'll give you $1 million. He said, okay, deal. We kind of shook hands. And then he said, who is your buyer? Okay. So at that point, he's going to find out anyway. And I'm pretty almost obligated to let him know now because we have a deal, so he has to find out. And when we do the paperwork, I said, is such and such. He said, I knew it. I knew it. So the reason why, people do that, is because they don't want people to jack the price up if they know you're representing.
And they know they have money.
Yeah, and they have money. So it's a safe way to purchase real estate. And a lot of the clients in the database, by the way, this database is fantastic. I think $30 million were invested in this database. Okay. And it's accumulation of several years, 11 to 12 years right now. So when we get a high-end, property, people in the database are allowed to participate in the auction. Now they have a fee that they have to pay. It's like $100,000 or something like that that's put into escrow. So if they want that property, then they have to show their commitment by putting this fee up. So the sellers just kind of sit back there and say, hey, wow, this is wonderful. I've never heard of this. And it puts them in control, actually, So now they know they're going to close in 60 days. They're going to get the amount that they want because there's a reserve and unreserved amount. The seller determines all that, So we just use normal Hawaii real estate forms. So we use an addendum to do the luxury auction. Okay. So with that addendum, we pretty much explain the process to them. And they love it. If you go to my website, stapleshawaii.com, I have a video of there. One lady who sold her house in, I think it's California. And she just tells the whole process, and she was just in love with the whole process.
It's like lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Well,
but it's cool. It's a cool story. It's cool to hear that kind of stuff that's going on. I guess that's what we're striving for. Hey, try to be rich so you can do that kind of stuff.
Well, kind of interesting with me and my wife. We rub shoulders with the rich people. I have friends in Hawaii Kai here. We watch their house over. When they go travel, they have homes all over the place. So we just sit there and look at all this luxury and stuff. But we miss our home in Laie, where the roosters are croaking, and the kids are college kids that we see there. So, and I tell you, money is not everything.
Yeah, home is much bigger than the house you live
in. Exactly.
Quickly before we leave, I like to ask my guests: do you have a life philosophy?
Yeah, I was telling you before we started recording that one of the things that I've done, I was a volunteer missionary for about 18 months. I had to learn a language. It was volunteer. I paid my own way. I lived away from family and home, and I really came to know my Creator. I had no one else to depend on. Of course, I had a companion that was with me, but and one of the things I really am grateful for that I have been given so many opportunities to serve others. Okay, if there's one thing I want to leave this life with is people looking over at my casket say, hey, that guy helped me. That guy helped me with this. That guy helped me buy my home. That guy helped me with my homework. That guy helped me get started in my career. That guy helped me with my, whatever. And that would be, what I would love to hear in the next life is that I help somebody, because I've been given so much help myself, growing up in LA with a single mom. There's challenges every day. There's drugs, there's this and that, and I think my God has kept me away from that stuff by giving me a clear conscience and not do things that's going to hurt other people, but just the opposite, help people, help people. And as you and I talked about, it's very contagious. It's very contagious. When you serve others, it's like, it's like things come out of the blue for you. Good things happen, like this interview. Okay. I had no idea who you were before this.
Well, I'm not doing my job.
But the girl that introduced me to you, Nikki, you had her here. And I was doing a project with her, a college project with her. And she mentioned you and this, and here I am, And and with her, I it's kind of interesting because with her, I took her group to look at some luxury homes last month. And they were just taken away about the luxury market, and how some people live and stuff. So they really got into it. We looked at the home that was for $3 million, and we looked at one that's for $5 million, and I was just showing them what's out there in the market and the challenges that people have. They can't sell their listing. It's not selling. It's been there for a couple of years now. And I was telling Nikki, I said, this is why, there's a different way to sell high-end properties. And we just have not caught on to it in Hawaii yet. So that's why you're here, Nikki. We're going to teach people about luxury auctions. We're going to introduce that, and we're going to help them sell their homes in 60 days. That's our goal here. And then she and I just start talking again about that in the whole group, and everyone's excited about luxury auctions now. So we're bringing it to Hawaii.
Very cool.
We're bringing it to Hawaii, and we're going to help the people with these luxury homes. And every home that we sell, we're going to build at least one home in the Philippines.
Yeah, and I think that's the best part of it too, is that you're helping those that are way less fortunate.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of time here. It's Paul. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Any last words before we cut out of here?
Well, yeah. Once again, I want to thank you for putting this together. I know you do this because you like it as a hobby, but it really helps people too, and it's a service that you're providing, and I appreciate anybody who provides a good service, and this is a great service. I got a professional. Sit up here, and it's quiet. We're in a nice area and good people.
Looks good, sounds good.
Yeah. That's my ohana, man. That's why I love Hawaii, because
right on.
Ambience like this. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, Paul. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
All right. Thanks.
All right. As always, stay happy, Hawaii.